I remember seeing guys on the street walking with a watch on their hand, right, on the wrist, and it was fucking huge. For no reason, it was just so much bigger than the wrist, and it was just loosely hanging off like this, right? And it looked fucking ugly, right? It just made their hands look small and shit like that, right? It just didn't look nice. And whenever I was looking at people like that who had watches that were too big or didn't look nice and they didn't feel like basically on their hand, right? It was so loose or they didn't wear it in the right way. I got so pissed off because I was like, how the fuck are you wearing a watch, right? Trying to look manly as fuck, trying to look nice, trying to look clean, but you cannot even wear it properly. That's when I started watching more men's fashion. There were more tips about how to wear watches properly. Damn, that makes sense. It looks so much better now, right? And I tried everything like that out whenever I bought my first watch, and I've tried these things out, and it just looks so much cleaner, so much better. Because having a watch, in my opinion, as a man, is a must if you want to look good, if you want people to respect you, if you want to not look like a boring piece of shit. That's why I'll tell you the watch rules that all men should follow. Subscribe right now before we start this video so that you can help this channel grow. And if you're interested in a network of like-minded guys and you want to maximize your looks to get respect from men and attraction from women, click the first link in the description to join our movement. There's also a free course in there to help you begin your attractiveness journey starting from now. For starters, I would suggest for you, if you are just starting off with watches and you want to level up your dressing game and your accessory game, is buy an adjustable budget watch, right? So I have at home, I forgot to bring it with me, but I have at home a nice Casio watch, which is very like low budget, like it's pretty good for starters, right? And the good thing about it, it's very adjustable, and you can where you can adjust it so that it's perfect for you, looking so much better on a budget, right? Without having to spend too much. And especially if you're a starter, this is like a very nice tip for you to start. You wear it for a little while, you understand that, okay, it doesn't look good on this hand, looks good on the other hand, or you feel like, okay, this is too loose for me, this is too tight for me, right? Basically, you get the feel of what it's like to have a watch on, and so you can get used to that, and then you upgrade to more stylish, more expensive pieces. The other thing is buying a watch which is a little smaller in width, right? So whenever you're gonna buy a watch, I don't have one to show you right now, but it's supposed to be a little bit smaller than your wrist. So let's say your wrist is this big, right? It should be somewhere around here, right? So I think depends on the person, right? So you should measure your wrist and you should just subtract like 3 to 4 just so that it's inside, like the whole watch is inside the wrist, so it doesn't look small if you have like a bigger one which is exactly to the width of your wrist or even bigger, right? Because it just makes your hand smaller and it looks ugly as fuck, right? You want it to fit nicely, don't want it to be too bulky on your hand. It just looks disgusting, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, you may like that shit, but in my opinion, if you cannot wear a watch properly, you're trash at fashion. The other thing would be to wear it above your wrist. So right, so I'm not actually sure how you say this, right? But the point is that rather than having it here, it's much better to have it back here, right here, above your wrist. So now, as you can see, right, it just looks so much better if I have like a watch here, right? I'll show like pictures and videos. If I have like a watch here, it's much better than having it here because it looks ugly as fuck. First of all, it blocks out movement because you cannot like use your wrist fully, right? You cannot flex it too much. It's like, it just looks bad because it covers up your hand. It looks smaller, right? The point is that we have to add the watch to differentiate us, to make us look better, not make us look smaller and uglier, right? Like, it's basically you're using the watch to fuck up your looks if you're doing it in the wrong way. I'm hearing a lot on the internet that people are talking about that you should wear your watch on your right hand, on your left hand, right? The point is that you shouldn't really give a fuck about that. Like, don't even listen to them, okay? What I would say is wear a watch on one hand, right? Just find out yourself. Wear a watch on one hand, which you believe is more comfortable for you. Wear it for a little while, for a few weeks, and if you feel like, okay, I'm not comfortable with it, then try out the other hand. And if you feel like you're comfortable with that one, boom, you found it. You don't even have to give a shit about what everyone else is talking about, because me, right, whatever I'm wearing, all the jewelry, most of it, right, I'm wearing it on this hand, on my right hand because I'm a lefty. So whenever I want to write, I don't want to have something in the way, and it doesn't feel comfortable on me. So that's why I prefer having my watch and almost every single like bracelet on this hand. And people might say that I'm weird. People might see me and be like, what the fuck, bro? Like, but it's like, who the fuck cares, right? You're gonna wear a watch, you're gonna look good. And as I said before in another video, and I'm gonna say it again, you need to look confident. You need to feel confident because they feel that you're not gonna give a fuck about what they're saying. So then you just win. That's it, bro. Like you have to portray that I don't give a fuck about what you're saying. This is what I like. It looks good on me. I'm getting all the women. I'm getting all the respect from men. That's what I want. That's it. You only need 2 to 3 watches in your collection. One thing that I would suggest for you to do is, rather than buying different watches which are similar or they're just like a little bit different colors and stuff like that, and just wasting your money, in my opinion, as a starter, you should buy 2 to 3 watches, right? Just to have to circle around. If you're gonna go on a date, if you're gonna go on a coffee, right? The point is that if you're gonna go on a casual errand and buy some groceries, maybe do some other work, you should buy a nice silver watch to have it on you, just to look nice at all times. The other watch that I would suggest for you to buy is a leather watch. So having a leather one, a classic one which looks good on you, which you can wear with a nice suit. Maybe you're gonna go on a date, you want to look a little bit more formal. That's why the watch exists, and that's why you should have one of those, just so you can change between those two. And the other watch is gonna be either a gold one, maybe you want to pair that watch with more jewelry which is gold and stuff like that, or you can just switch between gold and silver and just have one of those, right? Or you can have a nice rubber watch, because you can use that when you're gonna be working out, when you're gonna be, casually going out as well, right? So you can wear either the gold silver watch or the rubber one to go out, more sporty, more like if you're gonna go on a hike. You should wear something more informal, right? Something more of a beat-up watch. So G-Shock is a very good watch for this. You can just buy that stuff, which is like not that expensive as well. And boom, you have 3 watches which you're gonna be using on a daily basis, and you have like a watch for each occasion. So it's just amazing that you have everything there, so that you don't only have one watch. But if you feel like, okay, I don't want to spend too much money on watches, I don't want to start a collection, I just want to have one, then I would highly recommend you to either buy a silver one or a gold one, depending on your skin tone. But personally, I believe silver looks best on everybody, and it's much cheaper anyway. So rather than spending so much money on gold, it's much better to spend on silver, a nice plain watch which looks nice. It's not too big, right? The Casio that I have, which is like, I don't know, 50, 60 euros, is a very good example because it feels like quality, and it's cheap as fuck. I have it like for 2-3 years now. If you have something similar to that, it's gonna be like for most occasions it's gonna do well. And lastly, have a place to store them. So if you feel like you don't have a place to store them, I would suggest for you to go to a, I don't know, cheap shop, or like in my case, I went to Lidl, right? And I bought a 6 euro watch box, which looks decent. It's not like high quality or whatever, but it's good enough for me to have my watches in there and not just throw them around everywhere and scratch them, maybe even lose them sometimes, right? I don't want to have that. So I'd much rather have a small box to add everything inside, so that, I have it there, it's sitting, like it just feels amazing. And especially when you're gonna be taking them out, like the watches, you're gonna be putting them on feeling like fucking James Bond. It's a nice feeling, bro. Rather than just throwing them anywhere, right, and just losing them potentially and scratching them, it's much better for you to buy like a cheap one, as I said before, like from Lidl, where I thought, like, I don't know why the fuck they have stuff like that in Lidl, but I found one, 6 euros, like it's about like $7-8, very cheap, right? You can have the stuff in there, boom, everything is solved. You don't need anything else, right? You can also find like DIY how to make, I don't know, watch boxes and shit like that. But in my opinion, it's much easier for you to buy like a cheap one and use, like, have the watches inside. And whenever you want to upgrade, start, adding way more watches inside and way more expensive watches, that's when you're gonna buy a better box. But now it's much easier for you to buy a small box, have the watches in there, and that's it. Stop wasting time.